Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving into the controversial comments made by Keir Starmer in a recent GB News interview where he tried to navigate the tricky waters of immigration. This is a story that's already sparking intense debate across the country, and it's only heating up. But before we get into the details, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more deep dives into UK politics. Now, let's break down exactly what Starmer said, why people are angry, and what this means for Labour's future. In this video, we'll cover Starmer's attempt to reassure voters that concerns about immigration are valid and not inherently tied to far-right ideology. We'll also explore how his comments play into broader criticisms of Labour, particularly around a lack of policy clarity and the lingering Donnergate scandal that just won't go away. Stick around because this one's packed with political drama from start to finish. During an interview with GB News political editor Christopher Hope, Keir Starmer made headlines by addressing one of the most controversial topics in British politics: immigration. Starmer's comments came while he was in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, but the reactions back home have been anything but diplomatic. When asked whether he views people who are concerned about immigration as far-right, Starmer firmly replied, "Absolutely not." He went on to explain that many Brits are worried about the high levels of migration, but that doesn't mean they support extremist actions or violence. Many people across the country are concerned about immigration, Starmer stated, but they wouldn't for a minute go on the street and throw a brick at a police officer. It's wrong to pretend that they are one and the same. On the surface, this might seem like a reasonable attempt to de-escalate the growing tension over immigration, but for many, it felt like Starmer was walking a tightrope, trying to please both sides without fully committing to either. Is this a smart political move, or is Starmer risking alienating key voters by sitting on the fence? Starmer didn't stop there. He also acknowledged that immigration levels were too high, echoing a concern that's been voiced by many across the UK. However, when pressed to provide a specific number for what he'd consider an acceptable level of net migration, Starmer refused, stating, "I'm not going to put a number on it, but it needs to come down." This refusal to commit to a concrete figure has sparked backlash from both sides of the immigration debate. Those who believe the UK is taking in too many migrants argue that Starmer's vagueness shows a lack of leadership. On the other hand, progressives within the Labour Party are concerned that he's leaning too far into Conservative territory by conceding that migration levels should be reduced. Starmer's explanation for high immigration levels was linked to skills shortages. He pointed out that apprenticeship starts in certain sectors have plummeted, while visas for workers in those same fields have gone up. According to Starmer, this mismatch between local training and foreign recruitment is a direct result of Conservative failures over the past decade. Among the reasons for high migration is because of the skills failure over the last years, and we need to fix that, Starmer said. "I think this is a healthy discussion. I don't think it should be something we shy away from." But the question remains, what's Labour's actual plan to bring down migration? So far, Starmer hasn't provided much detail, and that's starting to frustrate both his supporters and critics alike. Labour has always been the party of working people, but in recent years it's struggled to maintain that image. The party's stance on immigration has been a particular sore spot. For many traditional Labour voters, especially in working-class communities, rising immigration is seen as a direct threat to job security, wages, and public services. Starmer's acknowledgement that migration is too high is likely an attempt to win back these voters, but his lack of specifics leaves much to be desired. Recent polling data reflects this growing discontent. Labour's once commanding lead in the polls has shrunk to just 4 points, according to a More in Common survey. In the same poll, a large number of respondents indicated that they believe Starmer will only serve one term as Prime Minister. This isn't just a blow to Starmer personally, it's a warning sign that Labour needs to do more to address the concerns of its core voters. And it's not just about immigration. Labour is also grappling with a broader issue, the perception that it's out of touch with everyday Britons. While Starmer and his team have been strong on diagnosing problems, whether it's the NHS, the cost of living or education, many feel that the party lacks clear, actionable solutions. As if the immigration issue wasn't enough to deal with, Keir Starmer's recent speech at the Labour Party conference has come under fire for its lack of substance. Scarlett Maguire, the director of polling company JL Partners, attended a fringe event hosted by the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change and didn't hold back in her critique. What we were missing from Keir Starmer's speech today and from Rachel Reeves's speech yesterday was more detail, Maguire said. It's not that people want to be bored with policy detail, they also don't want announcements that they don't think politicians will follow through. This is a damning assessment for a party that's trying to position itself as the government in waiting. Labour's diagnosis of the country's problems might be spot on, but without a clear plan for how to fix them, voters are left wondering whether Starmer's government would be any better than the Conservative one it replaced. Maguire wasn't completely pessimistic, though. She noted that Labour still has time to turn things around, but only if they can start laying out concrete plans that resonate with the public. Starmer needs to show that he doesn't think Britain is too broken to fix, Maguire said. He needs to show a plan on how to fix it. I think that's still the piece that's missing. As if Starmer didn't already have enough on his plate, the ongoing Donnergate scandal continues to cast a shadow over his leadership. Starmer has faced criticism for accepting over £107,000 in gifts since 2019, making him the highest recipient of donations among MPs. Critics argue that this puts him in the pocket of wealthy donors, raising questions about his integrity and commitment to transparency. One of the most controversial donations was a £20,000 gift from Lord Ali, which Starmer used to secure accommodation for his son during his GCSE exams. Starmer defended the donation, explaining that his son needed a quiet place to study, away from the media attention surrounding their family home. I made him a promise that he would be able to get to his school, do his exams, without being disturbed, Starmer said. While some voters have expressed sympathy for Starmer's situation, others see it as yet another example of Labour's leadership being out of touch with ordinary people. How many parents in the UK can afford to move their children into private accommodation during exams? This is the kind of question that continues to dog Starmer as he tries to position himself as a leader for the many, not the few. Keir Starmer's latest comments on immigration have thrown him into the political spotlight once again, but not necessarily for the right reasons. His attempt to separate legitimate concerns about migration from far-right extremism may have been well-intentioned, but his refusal to commit to clear policies has left many wondering where he actually stands. Meanwhile, Labour's broader issues with trust and clarity continue to plague Starmer's leadership. As polls show a shrinking lead and a public increasingly sceptical of his ability to deliver real change, Starmer faces an uphill battle to prove that he's the man to fix Britain's problems. The clock is ticking for Starmer and Labour. Will they rise to the occasion, or will the next election mark the beginning of the end for Starmer's leadership? Only time will tell. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to stay updated on the latest UK political news.